Hello. Okay, can you guys hello, hello. I am sorry you guys I have to do this one more time. It's been a tough day. I just got out of a meeting with FBI people about some things here, so hold on one moment. Okay, can you hear me? Well, I see the Googler is here. Welcome to Vlog Media Breeze. Welcome. I have a program I'm going to provide to you guys tonight. It was just something I wanted to talk about real quickly. And I have some things going on here. As you just heard, I really did get out of a meeting with FBI. And it has to do with some things that are going on here um, with my system. Anyway, I wanted to come on tonight because I saw a video. I'm always on YouTube, and I saw a video that I had been um, wanting to see, but it was like 58 minutes long. And I said, well, let me just wait a while. So after I looked at the video, I saw some very interesting conversation going on between Angela Stanton and the Breakfast Club. I was going to just run through the video and give you guys my reviews, but I'm only going to do about 15 minutes of the video and share my reviews as we go along. But before I do that, I want to read something to you. As you know, I am a daughter of the utmost high God, and it has been a tough day because when people are trying to ruin your life, that's the devil. That is the devil who is trying to when people you do not even know and they don't know you and they are trying to ruin your life, that's Satan. So you have to fight that off with the Lord. So, and that's what I'm doing. But I do want to go ahead, and this is Romans 1:26 to 28, and I'm going to tell you why I'm reading that, and it has to do with something in this video that I'm about to show you. So hang on to these words. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did exchange the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. So when we sin and we are unrepentant, verse 28 in Romans chapter 1 tells us God will give us over to that reprobate mind, that sinful and callous mind that is unwilling to change. So I wanted to read that to you. And I was going to read another one, but I think that that is enough for now. I'm going to go ahead. I see the Googler. What the Googler does is it comes in, it follows and tracks me, and then it comes in, and then it leaves and goes and gets its whatever it's doing. Okay, um, and then even after I leave here and end the broadcast, it stays on. Look, whenever I start talking about it, it leaves. Like now, it's gone. Okay, I know when it's here. The Lord reveals it to me, believe me. There are ways in this system for me to know. Remember, my son is a computer scientist. So here we go. I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to, let's see here. It is a YouTube video. So I want to talk about it too, but I want to have it go through a little bit here. Here it is.
Experiences. Story from a while back. I spent some time in prison.
I want to start it back.
Running for Congress in Georgia right now, right?
I'm running for Congress in Georgia in the 5th district against John
Now, this is from a year ago. So, and John, John Lewis is no longer with us. So go ahead.
Lewis. I am from Atlanta, been there most of my life. Most of you may know my story from a while back. I spent some time in prison for a nonviolent charge. Ended up giving birth to my daughter, chained to a bed, came home, went through a lot of trials and tribulations to get to where I am today. Ended up using my story to not only pass the First Step Act, but also make it illegal for women to be chained during childbirth. I ended up getting a full pardon from the president, and now I'm running for Congress to use my story, to use my experiences, and bring hope to our people.
You got a pardon from President Trump?
Full pardon from President Trump.
I saw
now, do you think that you would be a Trump? Do you think you would be a Trump supporter if he hadn't pardoned you?
I've supported Trump before I got a pardon.
And why do you support Trump? What values do you see in Trump that make you?
Now, listen to this answer, okay? Listen to this answer. She is a Trump supporter. And for the record, I'll tell you why I'm sharing this with you, because this was recorded a year ago.
The supporter.
I support his policies. He's the first president that's for pro-life. There are, nearly 60 million Black babies that have been aborted since Roe v. Wade passed. And if we talk about Black Lives Matter, then we know that Black Lives Matter even in the womb. He also signed the most historic criminal justice reform that I had a part of, and we freed over 7,000 people from prison. 91% of them were Black. He's also...
I didn't know that. I knew he freed a lot of people from prison. I did not know 91% or 90% of them were Black. But go ahead, here it is.
Permanently funded HBCUs. He also lifted the federal ban that was against faith-based HBCUs. Before COVID hit, we had the lowest Black unemployment. The fact that the man was willing to listen to someone like me and allow me to influence him to not only pass the First Step Act, but make it illegal for women to give birth in chains, I realized that this man is not the man that they're proclaiming him to be.
Now, the perfect question right here would have been for the Breakfast Club to ask her, what is it that they are proclaiming him to be? Because a lot of us have our ideas, but they're interviewing her. So I want to know, what does she think that people are proclaiming him to be? Because let's be clear, he is a racist. Let's just be clear about that. He's made a lot of um, anti-Black remarks. And on the other hand, I will tell you, I am for Angela Stanton, okay? And I'll tell you why after this video. But these people at the Breakfast Club are so caught up in their feelings. I'll go ahead. Here it is.
I don't have any problem with a person voting their interests. I saw a quote you said. You said, I credit President Trump for being my inspiration. Before she became active and conservative.
See where he's going? He's so caught up in his feelings. He should have asked her, what do you say he proclaims to be? Because then you can go somewhere. But right now, they're all caught up in their feelings. They have a lot of prejudgments about her at this point, and it makes the interview non-objective. So
conservative politics. I was a lifelong Democrat just because, well, you know, monkey see, monkey do. I was just doing everything that my family was doing. I guess we had all been duped. So what made you, get away from the Democratic Party?
Well, my own story, when I came home from prison, I mean, I was a convicted felon. I was a single mother. I had 4 children waiting for me. They gave me a $25 check and a bus ticket and said, here, go start your life over. Well, we had absolutely nowhere to go. I couldn't get the welfare that I'd been able to get before. I couldn't get any housing assistance. So I had to figure out how I was going to make it. I had a God-given gift, which was writing. So I wrote my life story. From there, I went on to being a national best-selling author and then starting my own publishing company. Not only that, the part about being a single mother, remembering when I was getting those benefits and how Section 8 said, you know, as a single mother, we'll help you and your children, but the father can't live in the home. Or when I was receiving welfare, they'll say, okay, you'll get this certain amount of money at the beginning every month, but you can only make a certain amount. It wasn't until I was denied government benefits and nobody wanted to help me that I discovered my greatness. And so this road to entrepreneurship is how I eventually became free. And I know if we really want to be free as a people, we got to reduce poverty. Because once we reduce poverty, we reduce crime. We need more entrepreneurs. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
You can do that as part of any party, though, or being an independent. You don't have to be a part of a party to do that.
This dude misses the entire point. What her response to him really, in my opinion, didn't have anything to do with party, even though she answered it with reference to his question about her leaving the Democratic Party. It had nothing really to do with party. It had to do with her struggle, which really had nothing to do with Democrat or Republican, because people struggled that way, period, regardless of who is in office.
Well, I mean, for me personally, I'm a conservative because I don't believe in handouts. I believe in hand-ups. When we talk about the Democratic Party, it's a large focus on welfare, right? People only need welfare for a certain amount of time. We don't need to become lifelong welfare recipients. I'm also not.
Oh, we lost you. There we go.
I'm sorry. I'm also not a Democrat because of abortion. This is my thing. Roe v. Wade was passed off of a lie. As of right now, where we are, we're always crying about being an oppressed minority, but we are always going to be an oppressed minority if we continue to abort our offspring. Abortion is the biggest genocide against Black America. They strategically place their abortion clinics in our neighborhoods, and just about every time you hear a Democratic candidate go on stage, the first thing they say is Black women need access to abortion. So if we really want to restore the value to our own lives, if we really want to say,
right, though, a woman's right for abortion.
I just
like,
want to.
If a girl, like let's say a 16-year-old girl was raped, or somebody was raped and they're pregnant, and they don't want to have that child, they don't want to have that experience. You don't feel like it's a woman's right to have an abortion?
So they talk about women's rights and women's choice. We need to first figure out why the government gave us the choice to kill our children and get away with it. Because as a man, you make the child. If you wanted to kill the baby, you would go to jail. You don't have a right to decide whether or not your child lives. Neither should a woman. Even in the instance of rape, let's just talk about it because I've been raped before. I have a 27-year-old daughter that's a lawyer, still deciding to choose life because at the end of the day, that child is still partly mine. Now, if you can't kill the person who raped you, why are we killing the child? And in addition to that, rape is only 1% of abortions. So the argument that's on the floor right now about abortion is the Democrats wanting to fund it. It's not necessarily taking away a woman's right, which I don't believe any woman should want to right. Because here's the thing, you taking away someone else's right to live.
Well, I'm definitely pro-choice, and I highly disagree.
I'm pro-choice, and one of the reasons I'll say that is because one of the reasons I'll say that is because I think history has proven that when abortion was illegal, women were still having abortions and they were doing them in very unsafe ways and dying from them. So that will still continue to go on. And then the only people who had access were people who could pay for private physicians so that they were able to travel, go get that done,
so,
pay a large sum of money. So
tell
that
you
actually endangered our people who were living in poverty.
Did you hear how superficial and dumb that answer was? Angela Yee needs to stop drinking or stop putting whatever it is she puts on her brain. She needs to stop putting it there. Everything she said was so superficial. The words that came out of her mouth, none of that is more valuable than a life. And let's be clear, the moment that sperm meets the egg, it is life. That is life. Man doesn't get to define that. God has already defined it, and he defined it because he created life. So she's trying to sound intelligent, and really she sounds really quite ignorant if you're smart enough to pay attention to her. But listen to Angela's answer.
Because they couldn't afford to go to a private doctor.
Let me tell you something. A baby dies every time in an abortion. Every time a woman has an abortion, a baby dies. You can't say Black Lives Matter and don't include the Black lives that are in the womb. Now, when you're talking about health care,
is it a fetus or a baby?
Let's talk about look up the definition of a fetus. A fetus is a human baby. Now, when you're talking about health care and in the Black community, we need to remember the Negro Project and Title X funds. When you go research the history of Planned Parenthood, the founder, Margaret Sanger, was a racist. The Negro Project was about them implementing birth controls into our population, into our communities, to keep us from populating, to keep us from reproducing. Now, the thing of it is, when you guys say you're pro-choice, you have to think about this, the word and the trick. Why is it pro-life and then pro-choice? Because the opposite of life is death. The choice is death. So what we have to decide now is when we are voting is, are you going to vote for your children, your future children to die or your future children to live? Why not give them access to, it's a choice. What's the choice though?
Life or death.
That is always a choice, period. Even as we live, we have a choice of life or death. Because even us as individuals, because if we choose life, we will have eternal life through Christ. If we don't choose that, then it's going to be dead forever. So they are not making sense to me spiritually or intellectually, and especially Charlemagne. But he likes to look like he's intelligent or act like he's intelligent. So let's let him do that.
Okay, so why would a mother choose death for her child? Everybody that's here, even all of us on this live, we got here because our mamas got pregnant. At the end of the day, it's somebody's life. So how is it that everybody that's advocating for abortion has never been aborted? How are you going against someone else's right to live? Because if you understand lifespan development, you know that we all go from being an embryo to a fetus, to an infant, to a toddler, to a child, to a teenager. It's a life. So when you guys say
context matters though.
What? Context matters? Boy, bye. Really? You guys, I used to be for abortion, actually. I used to be, before I matured and opened up my mind to the reality of the fact that of what Planned Parenthood, first of all, really is all about. Okay? And why they're always set up in the urban communities. But more so than that, I realized that you're murdering a fetus, a little baby. And then on top of that, none of us are supposed to really be intimate before we're married. So why are you out here being intimate and you don't want to get pregnant? You shouldn't be intimate. You really should not be intimate. You're just out here getting busted out. Women are no more good. You have to understand you have lost all of your worth, that is worth more than diamonds whenever you go around here and you get with various men and then you want to go have an abortion. I digress. Here's the rest.
Context matters, though. If a woman got raped, and I understand you say it's less than 1%, but if a woman got raped, I wouldn't expect her to carry that child.
Not at
Okay,
all.
listen,
Not at
so even
all.
let's just say that's fair, and that's the decision for it. If they say, okay, we're gonna make this exception, if a woman is raped, let her make that decision. We still ended somebody else's life that didn't commit the rape. Let's remember that. But what about the other 99%? What about the fact that every time you see an advertisement for Planned Parenthood, it's targeting Black women? What about the fact that 46% of our population has been aborted since 1974 when Roe v. Wade was passed? So when we're talking about the Black vote and how we are the minority, why are we not waking up and realizing that we are not only killing our own army, but also aborting our votes? So what I would like to do as a congressman, because I promise you, everybody is voting for our children to die on the Democrat side. I would love to bring balance. I would love to give opportunity to women, because look, you can't tell me that the only way I can survive or be successful is by having an abortion when I'm a woman that came home from prison and raised 4 kids on my own, which are all a blessing. So if we want them to value our lives, then we need to begin to value the lives of our offspring. My one vote on the floor, the only thing it's going to do is bring balance, because at the end of the day, I want to save Black life.
I still believe in a woman's right to choose what to do with her body and her reproduction. And I still believe as
because you
it is her body.
Have the same body, but you and your mother don't have the same body. It's not her body. So again,
it's
y'all,
inside of her body.
It's a baby inside of her body. It's still
an
her
embryo.
Baby. So if you can live with,
I still feel that as history has shown,
embryo.
women are still going to have abortions, whether or not it's illegal, and it's a very dangerous practice.
Listen to Angela Yee. I still feel no one cares what you feel or what you think about this topic. I still feel as though you do not have a family, Angela. You don't have a husband. You've never been married. You don't have children. And word on the curb is you're busted out, allegedly. So you're sitting here. I still feel as though women ought to be able. I still feel as though it's like she's not even in touch with humanity. The humanity of the conversation is life or death. Why would you want to do that to a fetus? And I know that my ideas are different than most people's ideas when it comes to women and intimacy. The reality is you really need to keep your legs closed to all men until that man who comes along and treats you like you are somebody. Because these guys nowadays, it is unfortunate. They don't have a lot of choices out here when it comes to finding women who can be solely theirs in terms of a wife, not theirs to own or anything like that. Like that probably was not the right terminology. My point is to find someone who is genuine, who is pure, and that they can really trust. Because this is a different breed of women that we're living around today. You women out here nowadays, you are a different breed. For real. Here it is.
So that's an excuse to support a racist organization that has wiped out half of our race.
We would rather to support what?
Is that an excuse to support a racist organization that has wiped out half of the Black race?
Planned Parenthood doesn't only provide, Planned Parenthood.
She is absolutely right. It has wiped out half of the Black race, but the other part of that is Black men have wiped it out because Black men have tempers and they don't think straight when they get mad. And that's not good either. And I'm going to share something with you after this video that lets you know it is important for you to be self-controlled and self-contained of your mind. I got upset today about something that was going on with my system, and we found out who did it. So that's why I had to have a meeting with the FBI. And I was really mad. I was upset because no one has the right to interfere in my personal life. But I digress about me. I always come in here and make it about me at some point. But at any rate, this whole thing about abortion, people, you've got to want your babies to live. They're precious. They're beautiful. And that process, from what I understand anyway, is more painful than giving birth. I couldn't imagine. Anyway, here goes.
Parenthood
But
doesn't
why
only
is it?
provide abortions
Let
for
me
people.
tell you about
You know they
Planned
do.
Parenthood.
You know
It
they
was
do a
just
lot
offered
more work than that as
$60 million.
well.
So does every other OBGYN. We don't need Planned Parenthood to provide those services. We can go to any health clinic and get those services.
Amen.
Not only that, Planned Parenthood was just offered $60 million from our federal government for those funds.
Did you hear that? Planned Parenthood was just offered $60 million to continue aborting your babies. What kind of logic is that? What kind of logic is that? And I want you to really pay attention to this debate, because in one of my earlier videos, the one when I was unveiling the avatar, or the one after that maybe, I talked about how when you hear people in a debate, one side of the debate is usually good, the other side is usually evil. It's a battle between good and evil. And that's exactly what's going on here. You have Angela Stanton arguing life, and these other three people arguing death. And it's always the majority of the people who are arguing on the side of evil, and the lesser amount of people are usually on the side of good. It's always like that. And it's amazing how the Bible says many are called, but few are chosen.
Take care of those other programs. They walked away from it because the stipulation was that they couldn't use those funds to perform abortion. Now, that is no excuse for us to say we are going to support, and it's documented that this is a racist organization.
Because you believe that doesn't make it that other women have to believe that. You can believe that you're against abortion, and that's fine. You can be against abortion.
And envy, guess what? Just because you believe what you believe doesn't mean that we have to believe that. Doesn't mean that she has to believe that. So turn that around on yourself as well. She didn't say you had to believe it. You have her there. You're asking her questions and she's answering them. She didn't say you have to believe it. You ask her a question, she's answering it.
But you can't make another woman do what she wants to do with her body.
No one's making her do it.
Why does the Democrat Party have to pay for it? Why does the Democrat Party have to pay for it? Why do us as pro-lifers, people that believe in life and want your children to live, your future children to live, why do our tax dollars have to pay for those children to be slaughtered? Because not only are they murdered and dismembered in the womb, but then their body parts are sold and some of them are harvested. So what they're voting for on the floor now is funding it. I don't want to support a party that wants to pay for Black life to be exterminated. I do not support the Democrat Party. If you can't give Black women another option besides abortion, and if every time we come up as a Black people, as a community on the floor, the only thing we're being offered is free access to abortion, then that tells me you don't really care about Black life.
So you think that's the only option that's being offered? That's not the only option that's being offered.
So tell me what else
people have options.
Mainstream news.
People have options. They can choose that. They can choose to put a baby up for adoption.
They can choose to just leave you out of this debate because you are really not adding anything, Angela, let alone anything of quality. You're not adding anything.
They can choose to.
Oh boy.
They can do whatever they want, and if they choose to have an abortion,
why do you feel like people who don't believe in killing babies should have to pay for it with tax dollars? If you want to abort your child, why do I have to pay for it?
I don't feel like. Well, first of all, I don't think that what you're paying is just for abortions when you pay for services from a clinic. That's not all that they do. That's a small percentage of it.
Them turning away the $60 million in federal funding for those programs. So what I'm saying is what they're asking for is to fund abortion. What we're saying is we don't want to pay for it. And the same thing with sex reassignment surgery. As a conservative, it's not something that tax dollars should fund.
Because you're anti-LGBTQIA.
I'm not don't say that. Don't say that.
I'm just asking.
But you did.
Some of the things I don't agree with. I'm not.
Now, how he just transitioned into that, and he was so accusatory of her. Now, her son is, from what I understand, his preference is other men, right? So anyway, and I just read to you Romans 1:26 to 28 about that. So you know what I think about that. I feel the same way God does in Romans 1:26 to 28.
Anti, because when you say anti-LGBTQ, you putting in lesbian,
Right.
bi, gay, you lumping everything in together. I
So,
said
so what are
sex
you
change.
anti? What are you against then? Explain. I'm asking. So, what are you against, ma'am?
This is what I don't agree with. I don't agree that I should be forced to recognize a man as a woman if he has had a sex change. I don't believe I should be forced to recognize that. I also don't believe that children should be associated with anything LGBTQ. I'm not against anybody grown doing what they want to do, but I am against associating children with that, and here's why. When you break down LGBTQ, what it means and what it stands for, it's all sexual preference. Children shouldn't be identifying with sexual preference. So when you have gay characters in cartoons, in every essence, you are opening up the door and teaching children about sex. This is my opinion. I feel as though laws need to be in place that protect children. That's all where I'm at.
You know, gender and sexual preference are two
it.
different. Gender and sexual preference are two different things. Just because you're associating you are a certain gender doesn't mean that you're having sex and that's a sexual preference.
And so let's talk about that. Even when it comes to children, why are we confusing children with gender identity?
I don't think that children are confused when they say, this is the body that I feel like I have, and this is what I am. I don't think anyone's forced.
Angela is the most ungodly person, completely ungodly. Everything's about how she feels. I don't feel as though you can tell people what to do with their bodies, or you can tell people who they are. Listen, God has already determined between a man and a woman. If you are born with a penis, you are a man. If you are born with a, vajayjay, you are a woman. And that is how it goes. So, regardless of people having these transformations done to their body, it doesn't matter. You're still a man. The fact that you want to be a woman and you are a man means you have got some real deep issues. And that is true. I know the majority of the world doesn't believe that, but that's the truth. It means you have some serious issues. You're more attracted to men than you are women, and women, you're more attracted to women than man. Disgusting. Disgusting. It is just not the righteous way to live. And those people have serious injuries. Serious injuries. And a lot of them are intelligent, smart, and that's good. That's what the world expects you to be. That's the worldly way to be. Intelligent and smart and have businesses and are really just really sweet people in terms of the personality, but it doesn't change what the Bible says, and that's a big deal to God.
So
It on them.
If I say I'm a turtle, does that make me a turtle?
Is that a gender that's an option for you?
Oh, she's so
just
because I feel like it. So wouldn't you say that? Wouldn't you say that being a woman is more than a feeling?
Angela, I would respect your right to be a turtle. If you wanted to be a turtle, I would not tell you that you're not a turtle.
Like
okay, but you don't have the right
like
to make my children
daughter.
believe that but I don't have the right to use my influence or make laws to make children believe that you can magically turn into a turtle when we know that it's not true. So there's a certain thing called gender dysphoria, and it's very similar to people that have anorexia. So people that have anorexia, in their minds, they believe that they're fat. They really are not. Gender dysphoria is the same thing. We have people that believe that they are in the wrong bodies. They are not. So here's my thing. Having an operation to make you look like the opposite sex does not make you the opposite sex. I feel as though it's confusing children. Now, I'm not here to take away gay rights. I have a son that's a part of the community. I have an aunt that's a part of the community. Plenty of friends. I love them, but I stand on what I believe, and that's only two genders.
So your son is gay. So you can't be. There's no way.
So I'm going to leave it right there, guys. I did want to go ahead and read this one other thing to you. Let's see, how am I going to, let me see, get back over here. Um, So I want to read this one other thing to you. And I wasn't going to read it, but I am, okay? Because I don't want to just say that the conversation that they are having, you know, that it's the only thing in the Bible that that is wrong, right? There are other things because in Galatians 19, I'm sorry, in Galatians chapter 5, 19 to 21, it says, "Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, that's envy, murders, drunkenness, revellings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God." And with that being said, I'm going to be out of here. You all have a blessed evening. Sorry I didn't come on earlier, but I did try to come on earlier, and uh, the person who keeps popping up here, I believe is the person who did what happened to my computer. And I see them. They keep coming in and going out. And earlier I blocked them, and it was amazing. They didn't even get blocked. They come in here under another name, and I cannot go. Whenever I go into my YouTube studio and I put in their name, it says they don't exist. So that's even more proof about who they are. And so when they came on earlier in my first video and I blocked them, they didn't even get blocked. They were still able to chat. It's just pathetic. People are pathetic. But at any rate, I digress. Have a great evening. Remember to like, subscribe, click the notifications bell.